Another common thing that we hear is, I had this high water bill, so I brought in a plumber or a leak detector to come in and look for a leak, and they're telling me there's no leak. What could this high consumption be coming from?
I fall back to the toilet as being the most common point. And at the moment we check, and if you notice that I talked about at the moment I looked at the meter, there was no indication of a leak. Have you ever jiggled your toilet handle? Why?
Because that makes the flapper
Because you heard something that sounded like a trickle of water.
Yeah.
And that toilet, so you jiggle the handle. What you just did by jiggling the handle, if it worked, is you stopped the leak.
Yeah.
So if the person checks after you jiggle the handle, or if that flapper just gets down and seats right, then there's no leak found. But if that person had checked before you jiggled the handle, they might find a leak. Let me explain why might. Toilet tank, float, and it's either a float that goes up and down on a stem on the valve assembly itself, or it's a float that is on an arm that's a big round ball. Float comes up when it's full. If a little bit of water is seeping out that flapper, then the float will slowly go down as the water level goes down. And when it hits the point that it triggers the valve to open, then you'll hear water flowing into your toilet. And it'll flow for 15, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. And it'll fill the toilet tank back up. And the float goes back up. Then the water seeps around that flapper, seeps around the flapper. 5, 10 minutes later, 3 minutes later, it just depends on how much of that leak there is, how big it is. That ball slowly goes back down. And then it hits that trigger point and it fills back up. So during that period, 3, 5, 8, 10, 15 minutes, whatever it is, there's no indication of a leak unless you're physically checking in that toilet. But then the water gets used up and this meter will spin and that triangle will spin every 3, 5, 10 minutes, whatever that frequency is based on how much water is leaking out. So you can't see those leaks. You don't hear the water flowing in your system because it's not.
Okay.
It only flows to refill the tank.